Welcome, viewers. We started on December 29th of 2022, a journey where we said we'd speak to people from different professions and different walks of life. What started as a kind of let's see where it goes effort has come all the way to 50 episodes. My name is Venugopal Nair, and I head an organization called Ideascape. And my first job, the podcast, has been a labor of love and something that we've enjoyed doing week after week. First, we talk to very experienced people about their career journeys and try to see how they got to where they are. Then we spoke to young people on our 25th episode and created a youth panel where we looked at what they wanted to do in the years ahead. So, for our 50th episode, we had to break our heads and try and figure out where exactly we should be going. So, we first thought we'd do, a person who's achieved things on the corporate front, but we said, yes, that's interesting, that's important. And then, like a light bulb went off. We discovered that we've never spoken to homemakers, the people who do the most difficult jobs of all. The designation never changes. The effort that they have to put in day after day, week after week, month after month, is something that is rarely acknowledged and people are grateful for. So we said, why don't we speak to three people who have taken this on willingly and see what is it that has changed in their life and what is it how they see success in the success of the children they've brought up, of the husbands or the wives that they have helped along. Let me bring them on one by one and then take this on from there. Hi, Priya. Wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Mr. Venu. Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations on the 50th episode. We've been watching many podcasts earlier, and it's been wonderful. So we're glad to be here. I'm really glad to be here today. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So, next, we have a person, A.V. Narayan, who used to be into fiber optics. So, you will say that the role of a homemaker, a man, but the world is changing. And Narayan is, I think, at the forefront of understanding that yes, a man can be at home as well, looking after his child or children, and do a perfectly great job of that. Welcome to the show, Narayan.
Thank you so much, Venu. Glad to be here.
Can you hear
And
me?
I hope we be able to mix.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly well. Okay. And
Good.
finally, coinciding with the 50th episode, we have Karuna Nagrani, who used to be a banker, and she's based out of Dubai.
Hello.
And may I also wish you many happy returns of the day, Karuna. It happens to be your birthday today, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful to have you
Thank
all
you
on
for
the
having
show.
me.
So, okay, so we'll just jump right into it, which is, let me go with Priya and ask you, uh, where did you spend your childhood and what were things like early on, and how did you get to be where you are today?
What a lovely start to the conversation because thinking of childhood, yes, I really thought of talking about my childhood first because childhood, I believe very strongly, is definitely a foundation to all the future behavior and learning that one does. So, having said that, on one end, the other end being, of course, transformation also happens at some point in time, and that's also essential. So, talking a little about my childhood, yes, I was born to a family of amazing parents, my heroes, I would call them. My mum, who has been a homemaker through her life, but also been a tutor to tuition kids, for many years. While my dad has been on the corporate side, he was working with public sector and private firms, and had a sales and marketing career all through his life. So yes, we've had this amazing atmosphere as we grew up, me and my younger sibling, with I would call it a stress-free environment, a very fun-loving environment, because uh, there was no pressure, there was no academic pressure really, but at the same time, a family that values education so much so that they wanted us to get into a career, and have a self-reliant life moving forward. That's all that they were looking at. And what I do clearly remember as a child is how much of effort my mom and dad, those little things, you might not even call them efforts. It just comes out so natural to a mom who just makes it a point to see that uh, we have some dedicated time every day set for our homework, for learning a new language, whether it's extracurriculars, making sure that we do participate in a lot of events at school, competitions, so that we're like great talking publicly, have conversations with individuals. Dad wanting us to possibly recite poetry in front of maybe family and friends, and or even sing a song, encouraging us to do that. So these could be those little things which today, when I look back at those, where both of them gave a lot of stress to being a confident individual. Do whatever that you like to do, but always be confident in what you do, and face everybody with confidence. So those little things, today when I look back and see, they were little for them, they were little for us. We just kept observing all of it as children. We just kept taking it in all like a sponge. But then finally, when we grew up, it totally shaped our personalities. And then today, whatever we are because of those little things that they have done. So coming from there is why I think childhood does lay a basic foundation to everything that you do in life later. My journey, if you would like to talk about my journey ahead, I can do that, because you just
I'll
asked
come
me about.
into that, Priya. Yeah,
Okay,
I'll come
yes,
into that, because I'll just start off with, the
perfect.
introductory bit to figure out how each one of them. So, Narayan, where
Yes.
did you grow up? What were the early days of working like? And then we'll come back to, because we'll be taking each stage, as it were, almost as if, how is it that we've come to those decisions and how it has shaped us.
Good, Venu. I grew up in the Nilgiris, in a place called
Okay.
Uti. All of you may have heard about it. I did my entire
Right.
schooling there. What I
Lovely.
remember most about it is that uh, weather permitting, we were outside most of the time. I mean, other than
Right.
being in a classroom or in the bed or doing some homework which we were forced to do. Other than that, we were always outside.
Right.
That's something I miss. I think my children miss. My daughter misses it. A lot of kids these days miss it, to have that kind of an outdoor experience. That will always remain in my memory very, very clearly.
Yeah. So you had the
I passed out
privilege
of.
of being in a place where people only go for holidays. So you grew up there. In Uti is most of the time it's a break for people. But as far as you were concerned, it was the part that shaped your early life.
Yeah, our break used to be in places like Chennai, where we wonder why what we're doing here, kind of. It's
So you flipped the equation.
yeah.
Okay.
It was
Great.
really wonderful, and
Right.
I passed out of the PSG college in Coimbatore.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so that was a
Great.
college part of it. Uh, and then I moved on. My first job was actually I was teaching computer programming at 10 rupees an hour. That's how I started my career.
Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there, Narayan. Let me come to Karuna and find out what were your early childhood memories and what is it that you recall?
So born and raised in Dubai, lovely childhood, seen Dubai change and have grown with the place. But
Okay.
as a family, my dad came here in 75, 77, and he's this is home for us now. So,
Okay.
and both my parents have been working. My mom's been a teacher all throughout. She's been an educationist. My dad's been in the service industry. So, with the whole corporate background at home, uh, education to us, discipline, routine, um, all in all, with a very protected, loved, and sheltered environment was my childhood. And
Okay.
very, small knit family. So,
Right.
just, giving us a
Yeah.
good base all throughout for growing up to be where we are today.
Exactly. No,
I
I
have a
think
younger
that's
sister
one.
who's also settled in Dubai. So it's just the two of
Okay.
us, and parents obviously do their best. So
Right.
living outside India, living away from the country, the roots, we've
Right.
managed to hold on to some bit of our culture in Dubai as well.
Right. Wonderful. So one common theme right through is wonderful childhoods, which is that parents were around for you. So it meant that uh, a lot of the interest and whatever you were interested in was very well known to parents. They saw you grow up, they shaped you, and maybe that had a role to play in how you finally made the decisions that you have right now being available to you. So Priya, tell me what happened in terms of you did start working, you went into a career,
Yes,
HR
absolutely.
if I remember. Yeah.
Uh, Precisely. So, uh, uh, while I got closer to doing my master's in business administration with a specialization in HR and HR and marketing, I was almost, waiting to possibly get into the same, shoes as my dad, wanting to be a corporate, person. Uh, since I had seen how he moved up the corporate ladder, I had seen the charm and the perks of being in the industry, and though as a little girl maybe I would have had other aspirations and dreams to either become an IRS like my granddad and or an IPS officer or a doctor. But finally, of course, like when you grow up, you tend to sort of make different choices, either because you're guided that way, or you see that, oh, this is a fancy, this particular job will probably fancy you better, or you will suit you better. So somehow I think I just got into the line of doing taking a degree in mathematics, economics, and statistics, and then moving on to doing an MBA. And then the specialization being HR and marketing, not knowing which one to start my career with, I just got a job. My first job was in a real estate, firm, where I got into pure marketing, which was more like a dream, because being a fresher right out of college, you either enter sales and you can't like step into marketing straight away. But here I was doing, all the P's of marketing, trying to meet advertising agencies in the real estate firm, trying to, figure out which is the best, what's the right kind of placing for the, product. Though it was a small firm, it paid me well. But then soon did I realize that maybe this is not the name I need to be associated with. I need to look at a bigger name. I need to look at a bigger brand. Uh, and somehow I got into financial services. My next being Citibank, and then of course I've had a career in financial services for a couple of years. After this, more on the sales side of it, not into pure banking business, but more as this more on the sales of investment sales and insurance sales, credit card, personal loans. So relationship management and all of it. So that almost was for a couple of years, after which I think I was still not very happy. I got married, and I wasn't really, trying to, because you're young and you want to explore and you want to do many other things, and maybe there is something hidden right behind, and you really want to explore that. And that one thing was to get into human resources for some reason. Uh, as and when I moved up the financial services, ladder, I realized that, Okay, maybe I have people skills. I love talking to people. I love understanding. I love training. Why not explore the area of training? And fortunate enough, I got
So
a
you pick it.
job as a corporate trainer in Bangalore, again with a firm that gave me the chance to not only be a co-trainer but also the lead trainer to so many companies pan India across industries. And that was the dream job that I was probably looking for. And I wanted to always continue. Uh, but
Okay,
I could
so we'll
not.
get to that. So the changeover
Yeah.
I'll come to
Yeah.
after this. So let me go to Narayan and explore the part of your career which was, in the job, which you spent quite a lot of time in a career in fiber optics.
Yeah, a lot of time, a lot of years have gone by.
Right. You were about to
Yeah,
talk
like I
about your
said,
first job where you said you were a
yeah, I
computer
started
teacher.
started with teaching.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was a computer teacher, ten rupees an hour.
right.
So that was how it started. In fact, at the time, I was doing some work for a friend of mine who had a market research company. So
Okay,
this you have to get people to fill up these questionnaires and stuff like that.
right.
So I was doing that, and then there's a place called Computer Point. They picked me up. I don't know how many people have heard
Right.
about that. Uh,
We did
so they
work on
said,
computer point long ago.
"Who?
Yeah. The agency
Yeah.
I was
So,
in, we worked on computer point. The agency.
oh,
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. Yeah. So Computer
Okay.
Point, they picked me up. They said, okay, we have these bunch of students who are actually employed people. They have no fixed timing. They'll walk in any time. So you got to be available, and whenever they come, you got to give them the heads up on how to
Okay.
use a computer, this, that, and all the basic stuff. So that's how it started. Luckily, at the time, in my college, I did pick up a few languages, things you may not have heard of, like Fortran, Pascal, COBOL, programming
Yeah.
languages which
Okay.
are pretty much outdated. So that
Right.
helped. So because of that, I mean, I could fast track into that line, and I became a regular trainer, a salaried trainer for some time before I joined another company which was into selling computer components to
Okay.
local manufacturers like
Right.
motherboards, hard disk drives, floppy drives. I mean, you name it, we have done it all. So that was an excellent job for me. I enjoyed it. I was there in the
Okay.
company close to 12 years. We grew exponentially and quite rapidly. I set up the Bangalore branch for them. I think I was in Bangalore between 91 and 96. And we kind of had a great run those 6 years, 5 years we were there. Then I moved back into the head office in Chennai, and I wasn't really very comfortable with that, and was looking for a break. And I did find my next great job, which was in Dubai. Uh,
Okay.
where I really started using my skills in designing networks and engineering networks and that kind of stuff. Though I did get too involved in fiber optic area, which was actually by chance. There were very few people who could understand it, so I got dumped into that, and I think I spent the rest of my career in pretty much that field. Uh, Done a lot of
Okay.
work for Dubai Airport and enjoyed it. I had a great stint in Alpha Data and another company after that. I think it was about
Great.
15 plus years.
Great, Narayan.
So
So, yeah, that covers one part of it. So, let me come to Karuna, who I think has been a banker as well, right? You've
Yes,
been in banking as well.
yes. In banking only.
Okay. So, what were you managing, Karuna?
I
Yeah.
started off with some short stints in Canada, where I'd gone to do my master's in project management. After
Okay.
completing schooling from Dubai, graduation from Dubai, we went off to Canada for a bit, and I finished my master's there. Uh, did a few, corporate administrative jobs there, but before we hit back to Dubai, which is where I started banking, and I started with Citibank as well. Citi, HSBC. I think I've changed about seven banks over the last close to 20 years. So
And you
the
were in
last
what?
one
You were
being,
in
we've all been in private
relationship
banking.
banking, corporate banking. What aspects of banking were you
So we
managing?
started. I started in wealth management. I
Okay.
started in wealth management and moved on to private banking. So it's
Okay.
been close to 20 years with private banking now. So
Okay.
from HSBC, I went off to Lloyd's, TSB, and then went off to Axis. Axis was setting up shop in Dubai as well. And
Okay.
then there was this Portuguese bank that set up, and from there we moved to Bank of Singapore with another Asian bank. Then I moved
Okay.
to Bank J Safra, which is another Swiss bank. These are all boutique private banks, global private banks, which have offices in Dubai in the financial center here.
Okay.
And I've been doing private banking. So private banking is very
Great.
second to me now. Yeah.
Okay. So, which brings us to
Yeah. So
the
that's it.
core of today's conversation, which is that you had the option. It was not as if, let's go back 20, 30 years and it was by choice. I mean, it was not by choice, it was almost compulsion that you were forced to be in a certain situation. But I think in every person there is this point of, okay, who's the boy or girl, the child closer to? In most cases, it is the mother. In some cases, it can be the father as well because of the bonds that children develop over time. So, can you take us through, Priya, each of you? I'll come to each of you as to what do you think was the defining moment when you said that maybe I need to spend more time at home?
You're so right when
Then,
you say you're so right when you say that moms are the ones who are more giving. They give more of themselves emotionally, physically, mentally, between the dad and the mom, of course.
right,
And then there is always so, and every woman, I feel every mother, the minute you become a mom, you are 100% redefining yourself in some way or the other. You are not left with that choice, of not, defining yourself as someone else. You have to. And that's the time when you need to possibly take a call. In fact, sometimes not just that, not that could not just be the reason, childbirth. It could also be many other reasons. It could be a relocation. It could be, it could be health. It could be anything. But this period when a childbirth happens, I think that's a critical, time when every mom decides whether or not to continue or to take a long break, to work from home, a lot of options. So uh, I think for me, the moment was I got into a family. I got married into a family where all of us were working. My in-laws were working. I was working. Husband was working. So a period, a glorious period for us, where all of us were out in the morning, would be back in the evening, and spend some nice moments in. Then there was a time a relocation happened. A relocation happened, of course, from Bangalore to the UAE. I moved to Dubai with my husband because my husband moved, jobs. And by the time my baby was just a year old, though I had started work immediately after she was born, with the help of, because of the support that I had from my mother while I was in Bangalore. I was so fortunate that I was able to take both of them with me on training workshops all throughout India, wherever I would go. I mean, I had a lovely employer who would tell me, oh, why not take them both with you and go ahead, do your trainings. And then I did that. I did most of it. A year just after she was born, of course, we had to relocate and we came down to Dubai. And that was a time I really had to pause and think it all over. Because one, I was not the kind of mom who would be happy to give away my child in the hands of a caregiver. Moms become selfish sometimes, I feel, because we are, after all, giving away your child to another mom. Of course, we are looking for a caregiver who is a nanny, who is also a mom, but at that point in time, you want all the work to be done by you. Some moms do it. Some moms, I mean, I was one of those. So I decided not to do that, very, very cautiously. I think now when I look back and think, maybe because I did not see that happening, in and around my family too, in my, in amongst my social circle, or when I was a kid, I've only seen mums take care of their own kids. I haven't seen nannies take care of. So maybe that was one. And two, I felt that my child would need me at this point in time, and let me take a break. It's okay, let me take a break, let me see how things develop, and we'll take a call a little later. So I think that was a moment when I decided to take a back seat, and I was out of work. I did not look for work, though I had moved. I could have tried, but I did not. Very cautious. I mean, very consciously. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So in your case, Narayan, it's one of those, at least for mothers, I think, like Priya said, it's almost, and Karuna would have that, there's a maternal instinct, which is far more difficult for a father to take that decision and then figure out, that that I need to be there.
Honestly, I don't think I took that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I was saying, it was not a decision that I took entirely on my free will.
Okay.
It was sort of, it just happened that way, and it was not
Okay.
something that happened in a spur of a moment, in a day or something like that. It happened over a very long period of time. In fact, I think it started the time when I moved into Dubai, because
Okay.
my workplace was very close to my house, my home. So
Right.
I used to come home for lunch. I used to come home for breakfast, in fact, because I used to go very early to work and
Okay.
come back for breakfast.
Uh,
So because of that, there were a lot of things which was dumped on me. Drop
okay.
Sharanya in her music class. Pick up Sharanya from somewhere. Sharanya is my daughter, by the way. So it
Right.
started from there, I think. But the actual thing was that sometime towards the end of 2018. The company I was working for ran into a lot of difficulties, and it wasn't very comfortable to work there anymore. Though I could have continued to work, but it wasn't at all very healthy, and I just wanted
Okay.
to move on. So I did that, and I did find some sort of part-time kind of work. That's when I realized that I could do something like that. I could do
Yeah.
multiple jobs, small jobs, maybe twice a week, thrice a week, and then have the rest of the time for myself. So it extended from there, and then of course after the pandemic, those small jobs or whatever it I was doing actually dried up completely. So it did pick up later, but there was a time when I had virtually nothing else to do other than stay at home and take care of my wife and my daughter. It so happens that my wife is a very busy person. It's apart from her job, she has so many other activities, and she's a constant student. She's always learning something.
Okay.
Even now, she's doing
Okay.
some course on some data analytics or something. I don't know what it is. I've stopped even asking. So, because of that, I could give her a lot of time for herself. Apart from doing a regular job, I was
Right.
able to give her the free time
Right.
which she could use the way she wanted it. So I think it's an evolution. I don't think it's happened one day or one thing, or it
Yeah.
happened all of a sudden. It was very gradual. You start by doing small things, little things,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
before you know it, you're like a branded homemaker kind of situation. So
No, which is
that's how it
which is
happened.
great, Narayan, because you may have come at it
Man.
out of compulsion, but I think the fact that you made the most of it, and we'll come into what is the kind of bond that is, sort of come into the picture between Sharani and you now that you're the person who's more available to her during her growing years. But I think at some point, maybe Karuna's connection either is a little the thing or she's been trying to find a place which is just right. Anyway, we'll come back to that. When she's back, then I'll get her into the thing. But in your case, Priya,
Yeah.
what has been the best part of being a mom and the most difficult part?
So before I jump into that, I'd like to say that I've tasted the three styles of being a mom, or three types of being a mom. Rather, being a
Okay.
full-time employee, I've been a part-time employee, I've also been a completely stay-at-home mom now for a while. So,
Okay.
and each of it had its own pros and cons to it. While I
Right.
was a full-time employee, again, when I got back to work after a couple of years, I realized that I'm missing out on a lot, which
Okay.
I used to otherwise not miss out on. I had the time to see everything that my child would do. Whenever she wanted me, I was there for all her classes. She had to compromise on her classes, her activities, and all of it when I got back into action, when I got back into work. And I could see that there is a lot of turbulence because of me joining back work after so many years. And I
I'll
so I
Priya,
had
I'm
to.
sorry to cut
Yeah.
in. I'll come back to you because I want to take that thread and build on it. Let me
Yes,
just
sure.
check with Karuna. Karuna, your
Yeah.
connection is more or less okay now.
Yes,
You seem
sorry.
to have
Yes,
a bit
sorry
of a
about that.
problem. No, no,
Yes.
no, not at all. Like I told you, I'm very happy that we can do this sitting in different countries right now, which is an amazing thing to happen. But tell me, which is the point at which you realize that, or at the point that you made up your mind that, I'm going to be there at home for my kids? What is that? Was there something that Priya said she evolved into? Narayan said kind of, compelled to get into it. In your case, what is it?
So this is something that was always there on my mind ever since I had my daughter.
Okay.
It was just a matter of time for me to have pulled the plug and taken that decision. Um, yeah, it still took me about 9 years to do that. She turned 9 this summer, and that's when I did that. For me, it was a privilege. It was a, a blessed choice that I could do. That I could do this at
Okay.
this time. Having said that, I think a working mom guilt never leaves you. Um, I remember crying my lungs out when I had to leave her at home. We put her in the nursery, in the daycare early on, and my mom retired a couple of years ago. I'd say rather 5, 6 years ago, to look after my daughter while I was at work. And I couldn't have been more happy for that support system because at least she was not with a nanny. I mean, but people don't have that
Right.
choice all the time to have family around them.
Right.
So that still put a lot of things to rest, but my mom guilt never went away. And
Right.
again, as I said, it was only a big blessing that I could have done that this year, this summer, which is what the decision that I've taken. But having said that, the mom guilt doesn't go away, and it evolved to an extent that there were good days and bad days. Where some days I'd be like, yeah, I can fight it all out and I can do everything together, and things are all falling in place. And there's some days that I'd be in shambles and keep crying and say, I can't do this, I can't do that. But um, it was just a point
Yeah.
where building up more so, I say from last year onwards, where I said, she's turned 9, a few more years before she hits uni, of course, still halfway through there, but spend as much as time, make as many more
Okay.
memories that you can while they're home, because
Okay.
the generations ahead just get out for their life so quickly, not like our generations hanging around with families longer enough. So that was it, yeah.
No, no, but it's quite strange that how time flips when you're a kid going through
Absolutely.
childhood and getting it seems to take ages, and when your children grow up, it seems to happen in a flash.
In a wink. Absolutely.
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 So
So true.
you're looking at this whole thing and then saying, when did this happen? When did she go from being, this little kid trying to toddle around to growing up
So
and
correct.
then having her own
Yeah. Yeah.
personality and then growing up from there?
Yeah.
Okay, Priya, so you were expanding on that whole thing. So I interrupted you mid thought. Yeah.
Yes. So just taking from what Karuna said, I think I'd just like to add on to that. Yes, those moments of guilt that a mom feels, whether working or not, I would say both sides, having worked and then not working, and vice versa. Those moments of guilt are always going to be there. It would keep popping up in your mind and going back. Even when you're at home, you would still think, oh, I wish I could balance both. Oh, I wish I could even have my career on and do this. While if you're completely on work, like what Karuna said, you might think that, oh, this is enough, I need to be with my child. So those would continue. But then I think what's important when you are in such a situation is just not to strive to have it all. I think that's very important, because no one can have it all. And it is just to do with your priorities, your value systems, your aspirations, what you think best in that situation, which makes the difference for you, or to take that decision and to remain happy in that situation. That's a very tough, call. Uh, to remain happy in whichever situation you are in, whether you're trying to balance both, or you're stay at home mom, or you're just wanting to be there aspiring for a career like so many women do. And I'm sure the kids to working parents are equally happy as kids to stay at home
Right.
parents. There is absolutely no
Absolutely,
difference.
absolutely.
I don't think there is any difference to the happiness of a child or the upbringing of a child. Both are equally important, I would say. Great if you're able to balance it out. But if you're one of those sensitive, creatures on earth who would say, no, I'd like to give it my best, and my best either on work or whichever, or balancing it. You need to be sure of that. You need to be very, very sure. I would not be a happy person at work if I were not giving 100% to it, while at work. And I have seen that happening with myself. If I'm at work, I do not want, little calls coming in from my daughter's school asking me to pick her up because she's not well, or because I do not have another support system. I do not want to have another support system apart from family, because I'm comfortable only with them. And if I'm going to have a nanny over who is going to do all the errands for me, I'm still not going to be very happy, because I'd like to do it myself. So when you are in a situation such as that, it's best to have a clear mind. And if you have the luxury to do that, which not everybody gets to, if you have the great support system, uh, great thoughts from your partner, very important, very, very important, I would say, makes so much of a difference to anybody who's taking that call. How supportive is your immediate family towards such a decision? Whether or not they are there for you, appreciating you, encouraging you at every step of the way, at whatever you're doing, even when you're at home completely. That's very important. I think one has to just get lucky to have a spouse, or if you're living with parents, to have parents such as that. There are a lot of other pressures, societal pressures of not working outside, people looking at you, judging you once you have worked, and then completely moving into being stay at home mom. There are a lot of things. But then how you do not waver your thoughts and remain sane in that situation is again a tough call, is a tough decision that one
Part two,
makes.
yeah. And I think you touched upon a lovely nuance there, which is that it's not so much how you're able to balance this, but in your mind, you should be clear. I think
Very
that's
true.
the conflict. And I think for women, the guilt is so much higher because as a man, I know that I never really had this thing of, okay, how should the children turn out? Because it's almost as if, yeah, your wife or your mother, if she's around at that point in time, is helping. But for women, I
Right.
think it's so. I think Narayan's point of view on this as to how do you see the bond between you and your child evolve as a result of being there for her? Have you noticed a change, or do you think that it's just that, as far as you're concerned, it's
Uh,
fine? That's the way you.
I think I was always very close to my daughter, even when she was a very small child. But actually, I mean, I by the time I was full time at home, she was already in college. She'd almost finished her college, in fact. So that part of my life wouldn't affect that the relationship with my daughter. Though of course she enjoys it now because she gets her breakfast packed or her lunch packed every day in the morning, and she hasn't got to worry about too many
Yeah.
things and all that. That part, yeah, she likes it. But it's the whole thing is that it's not about one person. It's about the entire family. Priya touched
Sorry,
on that
Narayan,
a
I
little
think
bit.
your audio is not very clear. We are intermittent. I'm having some issues in terms of the connection. Can you
Okay,
just
am I
repeat what
okay
you said?
now?
Because I think I missed that bit. From the point
Yeah,
at which
I
you
said the
said
whole thing
you
is
would
it's
pack
not about
things
one
for your
person. It's
daughter.
not about the individual. It's about yeah, but I was saying that it's not about one person. It's not about the individual. It's not about me or Priya or Karuna. It's the whole family which has to work on that together. Priya touched on
Wow.
that. Support of the spouse is very very important in that stage for the understanding and. Let me go further. If I'm accepting that this is how it's going to be, only that can make it work. If there's a gap there in the view or vision of the spouse and the rest of the family, then this can't work that well. There will always be a regret uh, of somebody for somebody, and it would not be fulfilling. Number one. Number two is for a male, for a man to be that way is a lot different from for somebody like Priya or Karuna, because it's not, I mean, not yet a norm. Maybe it would become something like that, though I've seen movies where there are all homemaking dads and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is it's not still a practice. It's not still a accepted, I don't know, accepted, but it's not a practice anymore. So there are some things which help, like I enjoy cooking. um, in fact, I tell my friends that cooking is a great stress buster. You've stressed, you're upset about something, just go cook something, you'll be okay after some time. So those are things which help, where you anyway want to be involved. And when husband and wife are working, it's not easy for the husband to stay away from the homemaking process, if you want to call it that. You have to be involved. It's not possible for the lady to do everything all by herself. You have to take part in everything, maybe shopping, maybe groceries, maybe cooking too. So even if you've not a full time at home, as far as if you have a situation where both the husband and wife are employed working, then the husband will have to take care of some of the things, and I think it's happening. I think a lot of people, they may not want to accept it, but I know that they do a lot of things at home, and
Right.
they have to share the load. There's no other way.
Right. No, and I think
But
those
sure, I'd like
points are
to add.
particularly nuanced. Yeah. No, please
No,
go
I
ahead, Priya.
just wanted to add to what Narayan was saying. I think, irrespective whether or not both parents are working, let's say the mums are stay at home, I still would think that it is important and very, very important for the partner to help the spouse in a lot of house chores. I mean, and then a couple of chores at least. It's not
Right.
even if, because a stay at home mom has a lot to do, so I'm sure a little help from the spouse definitely helps even then. So, and I think it's very it is even further motivating that, okay, fine, I have somebody who's also partaking in certain things that I'm doing. So that's again very important, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So, Karuna, what's your experience of the bond between you and the children, between, because I think there's this lovely thing that's emerging about the family, especially the nuclear family. Earlier it used to be that the joint family, everyone took part, but the
Yeah.
nuclear family, the amount of understanding that has to be there is much much higher, which I think is a great point that Narayan made. And the sooner, and like you said, it's not the norm. There's no reason why it should not be the norm. Why is it that one career or both the careers should be equally the thing, and the child rearing should happen, which is like none of that is cast in stone. So in your world,
it,
Karuna, what are the
it's not
things
that,
that,
sorry to interrupt there.
no, please go ahead.
No, what I was saying was it's not that the wives don't make sacrifices. In my case, whenever I moved job, my wife had to give up her job. She was lucky that she was able to get another job. Why it should be the other way around? Shouldn't it be the other way around? I mean,
Okay.
why should I not have refused a transfer or a new job in a new location
Right.
just to make sure that my wife is employed? So it's not that they don't make their sacrifices. They do have their share of this one. And uh, 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 I mean, the point you made about being in nuclear families it is true. I mean, you can't exist as a family if only one person has a one department, like, like in a factory or something like that. You have to do this, and I have to do this. It doesn't work that way. There has to be a very, very cohesive environment,
Right.
and it's enjoyable. There's nothing that is wrong with it, or you're not missing anything. You can have all the fun you want. You can have all the outings you want. You can go out with your friends. You're not restricted in any way. You still get to do whatever you want. So that was what I was trying to say.
Great. So, Karna, what do you have to say?
Yeah.
How is it that, yeah,
So the bond, of course, when you start spending more time, all of these things, do evolve, do get better. And it's not only with the child, it's with everybody at home. Because I strongly believe, or so I've come to realize, that a homemaker just, you don't really concentrate on how the house is looking. Actually concentrate on how the house is feeling. It's a lifestyle that you guys that we all embrace, and then that flows down to every member of the family. So the bond between every member of the family, I think, starts improving. And when a person, who's taken the decision to be a homemaker, when you're doing that with a complete 100% choice, and you've got your full mind, heart, soul, everything into this, so then it becomes very easy and very organic for everything to fall in place, for you to concentrate on making bonds better. And of course, children as little as my little one, I mean, she's loving the time that she spends with me. So, and vice versa, even if it's, lunchtime that we're doing together. We've never done lunchtime before because I was at work, she was at home, after school. So something as small as that, or coming back home and narrating your school incidents right after you're back home, that's exactly, that's what they want to talk about. So with all of that, bond, yes, definitely 500% growing, super super lovely. But I would also say that the bond with everybody at home, my husband, my maid, my house help, everything, because the patience level increases. You're doing what you're enjoying, and you're wanting to do that. So
okay.
it helps everywhere very nicely.
It helps in every single way. Okay. Okay. So, Priya, in terms of, uh, what do you say? How do you see this thing going forward? Because there used to be very clear two schools of thought. One is that yes, people, there has to be the child has to be brought up by the mother, and then the working part of it has to take a backseat for some time. But what I'm hearing from you is that it's really a very personal decision, and if all involved, which is the husband, wife, and the children, husband, wife, and the parents, because I think once they get it, then the rest of it can actually come together much better than that's all it takes. Because all it means is that you don't make this about me or about you make it about us, which means includes the wife, husband, and the child. So
Absolutely.
is okay. So, is there something that you feel uh, you would miss out on a career because you decided that? Is there a sense of regret at some point?
So, like I said earlier, those little bit of, the thoughts of coming up short, or thoughts of, moments of, guilt, that, oh, I wish I could balance both. That keeps popping up,
Okay.
every now and then. But then the minute you realize that, oh, things that you're doing, or the things that, those little things that, are so rewarding, so gratifying, what you see every now and then, like Karuna said, little joys of life, if you start appreciating those, because your child is so happy, she is so engaged, she is able to, see that her mother is there with her whenever she needs, her. I think that sort of takes those thoughts away. It just takes it all away, just like that, in a snap. So it's all momentary, these feelings are very momentary. And how to keep yourself grounded in that feeling is, again, very important. It is not that while you're staying at home, you absolutely don't have time for anything else. You do have a time. You do have some time to continue, your interests, hone your skills at something that you have always wanted to. And you could still make a career out of it. You never know when. And it's always best to keep learning something. I would say, always get some time for yourself out of that busy schedule that a mom has, and do something that will keep your mind engaged. And for the fact that, for all you know, there would be a time soon that you are pursuing something in an area of your interest at some point in time. So with that
Okay.
hope, I think one should not continue to stop, learning. I think you must, either it's
Right.
learning or
Absolutely.
just getting involved in an activity that you like, whatever. Yeah.
It could be anything. Yeah. Narayan, what's your take? Do you think you've got to know your daughter a lot better because you opted at some point to, I mean, circumstances? Did you think, or do you think that your understanding of your daughter's needs is now
Certainly,
better?
certainly. I'm sure. I'm sure it is. I mean, even when she was a small kid, those few rare occasions when I used to be waiting for her at the bus stop, the bus would drop her near the house. So usually it'll be somebody else, but if she does see me there, she would be overjoyed. It was for her such a great thing, such an event. And likewise, when she was in college and she used to come home, and she found I was there, and we used to spend the whole day together. In fact, my wife wouldn't see her for like maybe 12, 16 hours from the time she actually landed. We used to go out, watch a movie, watch two movies at a time, and then come back home, things like that. And because I was at home, she had some issues in college. Dad, can you explain this to me? Can you find out what this is all about? Can you help me here? Can you help me there? I was able to give her that time, which I think is you can't measure that in any there's no yardstick to measure that.
Absolutely.
So that way, yes. The thing for her is, for my daughter, is that there's somebody there who she could count on, to rely on for some, whatever it may be, having fun, watching a movie, or getting some help in her studies, or anything, whatever it is. Can you charge my phone? Can you do something for me? It can be any silly thing, it's like that.
Yeah. It's so, Karna, what are the parts you like and you don't like about bringing up children? Because I'm sure children are not angels. They're not wonderful all the time. So they can really try your patience. They can really make it hard for you at certain points. So how do you get over
They
those?
absolutely can. But however, I think,
For every
as I
parent, their
said,
child is an
with
angel.
Yeah.
most of the times, most
Even
of the
if they,
times,
yeah, yeah,
they can test your patience. They definitely can. But
yeah,
again, I think it all boils down to what's within you. If you're patient enough, you're able to spread that around and give them that time patiently. Give
yeah.
them that,
That
because
time
yeah, I mean
efficiently. Okay.
that's their age. They are going to get on your nerves. They don't know everything. They're going to ask you questions. And they're going to ask you
Yeah,
questions, wrong times, different things. So if to maintain that patience while I was working, I
yeah.
think I still had my ups and downs, and I'm trying. It's still
Okay.
work in progress, but I'm trying to do better now to keep that patience level up. But having said that, it's more about again, you're happy, you're very content with your decision of being a homemaker, and while you're enjoying all of this, bringing up this life that you've brought into this world by God's grace, and
Right.
doing justice to that. And how would you do justice? Obviously, but just by giving them all the time that you can. So now, when
Yeah.
I've taken
Yeah.
this conscious decision, conscious choice of being with her, it's all about giving her time. Now, sometimes with that comes with patience. Sometimes that comes with a little bit of irritation, anger. But again, I think
Yeah.
they also learn these emotions. They learn how to handle it.
Right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's part and parcel of the whole thing, I think.
Part and parcel of the whole thing. Okay. Before we end, before I ask you a last question, I want to answer all the three of you. What is your response to a tantrum?
Response to what?
A
A
tantrum.
tantrum?
Tantrum.
I would just take a deep breath and walk away. Just take a deep breath, walk away, drink a glass of water, and come back in 2 minutes, and you're sorted. At least for me.
Wow, that was quick. Not bad. That's actually a
And I've
good
learned
way
this from my
to.
mom. I've learned this from my
Okay.
mom, who's handled over 500 children in her life from
Okay.
different religions, nationalities, countries, being an educationist.
Okay.
So with so many children coming on your head, I just have one little girl on my head here. So if I have to have a tantrum, it's no, the
That's
easiest.
all that.
Don't react at that
Okay.
time.
Okay. Great.
Absolutely.
Priya, any other view, or is it?
I think, yeah, maybe if it's a tantrum in front of me, I just want to say, I generally, I just have one little thing to tell my daughter. I said, okay, stop talking to your mama now. That's it. And it works. Somehow it works. She's back to track. And so that's the magic of, the mama's warning. Yes.
Using her?
So,
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
Right. Narayan, as far as you're concerned, do you have a
Like Karuna said, you just walk away. I mean, you just turn around and step back. In a few minutes, it'll all be back to normal. It's not like
okay?
it's an impossible situation.
Right. It's just that
You
that
can
particular
you,
situation
it's
at
it's
that
better not to
point
get into
doesn't
an
happen
argument, a discussion about it. Yeah, that's it. It's a situation thing.
at that point. Yeah. Yeah. Great. I mean, it's been an hour since we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to. The thing that I get is that it's so different uh, talking to mothers and fathers of today, because one of the things that I see is that yes, there is a definite change in how people are perceiving the the dynamics within the nuclear family, and I think the solutions are emerging. And like Narayan said, it's ultimately it's everyone who has to contribute and then
Yes.
work towards making it happen. So, any closing thoughts? Are there anything that you would do differently now that you're here? And if I think if Deepa's watching right now, Deepa, please log in. Yeah, yeah, Priya.
Uh, Again, I think I would just like to emphasize on the same thing that be happy in what you're doing, be contented. I think that's very important. Don't strive to have it all. It's never going to happen. That's one. And focus on your priorities. Just prioritize your time and resources accordingly. That's all that I can say. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Narayan, what do you have to say?
Nothing. I don't think I'll exchange this place so easily for anything else. I'm okay with what I am. Yes, if I can do something more without compromising anything at this point of time, sure we'll do it. In fact, I still even now I do a lot of other work. I write some papers on project management in my industry. Uh, there are other things which I can contribute in, and I do that too. But it's good.
Great.
Like Priya said, I mean, you got to be happy. That's the ultimate thing. You got to be satisfied. Content is what she used. So as long as you have that, I think you're okay.
Great. The rest of it is follow. So, Karna, in closing, what is it that you would?
I will still just probably echo back what Priya and Narayan have said. Be happy in what you do. And my husband has always told this to me, and he stands by actually. So he's been on my case for the past quite a few years actually. Whenever he would see my in my mom guilt, and so I don't think anything more than that. That just he would say the same thing. Just be happy in what you do. If you're in the office, you give your 100%. You'll be happy, and that's
Right.
it. But if that's not the case, and that's building up,
Right.
take a call. I'm here. I'm right behind you. So I think with, great family support, such a loving, supportive husband, and a little angel like my daughter, I am in the best place possible at the moment in life. So I'm just so grateful to the
Wonderful.
Almighty for this.
Wonderful.
Wonderful, Karuna. Before you go, I'd just like to bring Deepa on board. Deepa
Hi, Deepa.
and
Good to
I
see you
started
finally.
this. No, you're not audible, Deepa. You're
You're
mute.
on,
You're on mute.
you're on mute.
You have to check
Still
which
can't
is
hear
your
you.
setting. Can't hear you. Just go to settings and choose the one which is no, not to. Still not seen, Deepa. One sec. You have to unmute yourself. I don't know how you do it.
So there's a mute button right at the bottom of the screen.
Somehow
Mute and
streaming.
unmute.
Yeah, Deepa has not been. StreamYard has not been kind to Deepa. The earlier computer was not connecting for some reason, and the new one also there seems to be some issue. But before I let you all go, one of the things that we've done this in the past 1 year because I think Deepa's done a great job of the creative, talking to people, figuring out in the last minute, okay, or plan out well in advance as to where this. And Narayan, you can, the reason we have you on the show today is because Deepa was very clear that this is not going to be a woman-only show. She was very clear that we needed a man, and we really had to search. So thank you for coming on stage and
You should thank Priya for
and being
that.
so frank.
She was the culprit.
Okay, Priya,
We are
thank you
very
very
happy
much.
to actually have you. Yes. Yeah. You made such
Yes,
a difference
and
by being there today. Absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, and the fact that we could have this conversation and an open conversation that talks of, and I didn't want this to become a us versus them kind of thing, which is typically what these discussions tend to get into. It's
Yes.
like trying to say that this is better. I don't think that there's anything better. It's a question of what you feel and what you believe,
What you
and if
feel
we
is
work it
right.
out,
True.
that's the best option of all.
True.
So I will try and get Deepa connected at some point, but she has done a whole lot of work behind the scenes. I'd also like to acknowledge that Rado, who did the logo, and Jayachandran, who helped with a whole lot of the technical issues, that technical points that we had to do in this show couldn't have. I'm the host, so I'm the visible face in front of the show, but there are people that you rely on, and I think in a sense I understand what it means when uh, how much it takes to bring up a child and what is the
Yes.
world work involved. you know it's really something that takes decades to play out. So thank you for whatever you do, and I'm sure that families are the children who have the pleasure of having you, I mean, who have been born to you, are blessed, and all the best for the future. Thank you for coming on the show, and it's been
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you for
Thank you,
having me.
Venu. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having us.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you, Venu. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Happy to
Thank
be.
you, Venu.
you. Thank you. So that was our 50th episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll continue to talk to, in fact, this particular episode, we're planning to do another session with uh, homemakers next week. Do join us then. And as we complete 50, there's a sense of both satisfaction and about the anticipation of the years ahead. And we'll continue to bring you guests and jobs of different nature right on. Thank you.